Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to this space and welcome to this sacred time. I'm so excited to be spending the next 4.5 hours together. It's going to be amazing. We'll have snacks at midnight and then coffee and tea at 4 a.m. So fasten your seatbelt. We're about to take off. I'm Rabbi Olivier Ben Chaim. I used to play rabbi on TV during COVID. Now I'm actually back in reality, although for some of you participating from home, I'm still a rabbi on TV. It's okay. It's wonderful to have all of you here on this very special Shabbat, because this is our annual Bring a Friend Shabbat at Bet Aleph. And it's the time that I can finally figure out if any of our members actually have friends. And it looks like they do, which is very surprising to me. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have you here. If a member of Bet Aleph brought you here tonight, well, I was going to say turn to them and thank them, but let's wait until the end of services. And then you can do that. You don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We also brought an extra friend tonight, a friend of Celia's, actually. Rachel is going to be participating tonight, so you get to be introduced to her. She's going to stand up in a minute. And she will be also joining us through the High Holidays. So tonight she's going to participate at least in one of the songs that are teased for the High Holidays. Celia, tell us about your friend that you brought tonight.
I am so excited that my friend showed up. No, just kidding. I am here with my wonderful friend, Rachel Rosenman. Rachel and I have been singing together just a tiny bit longer than Diana and I have been singing together. As my assistant director and section leader of the sopranos at the Seattle Jewish Chorale, Rachel is just a wonderful and amazing human being, and I am so grateful that she will be joining us for High Holy Days this year, because I will not be here for High Holy Days. I know. Trust me, I am disappointed. It is gut-wrenching. But I deserve a vacation. I've been doing this a long time. So you'll hear a little more about, I'm going to light a candle later, but I'm just so thrilled that Rachel and I get to sing together tonight. So thank you for joining me and joining us.
Bring a Friend Shabbat is a unique Shabbat where I go back to basics. We have our greatest hits as far as music is concerned, so you're in good shape here. And I try to weave through the whole service teachings from the Kabbalah, from the Jewish mystical path, and see and explain a little bit how we view worship, how we view prayers. I might redefine that for us in a little bit. And how we move through a worship service that is meant to actually bring us deeper and deeper within ourselves and within our heart. As we begin this process, every Shabbat, every Friday night, as we enter into the hours of Shabbat, our tradition invites us into a 3-step process. We have to take 3 different steps, and we're going to take them together. The first step is called to set up what our tradition calls Tchum Shabbat, the Shabbat space. We have to create ourselves, you and me, together in community, wherever you are, here in the space or participating from home. We have to maybe close our eyes, take a few deep breaths, and constitute this space as sacred space. This is sacred space. And we're entering together into the most sacred time in the Jewish calendar, which is one that comes once a week on Friday night and carries us through Saturday night. 24 hours where we get to rest, resoul, reconnect with what truly matters in our lives. disconnect from phones, computers, TV, and kind of reset ourselves, reset our soul. So that's how we begin. You can open your eyes again. We begin by creating sacred space. And tonight we're going to enter into sacred space actually with a song that will bring all of us together as one voice. Then the next thing I'm going to invite you to do is enter into a consciousness of flowing abundance. Well, we live the rest of the week in scarcity mindset. There's never enough time, enough money, enough, you name it. On Shabbat, we're enough. We're simply enough. On Shabbat, our life is enough. Exactly as we are, exactly and perfectly as who we are. We are enough. And so we step into this consciousness of enoughness, of abundance, of realizing, in fact, how much we have. And then as we do that and open our hearts to this sense of gratitude, deep gratitude, then we think of those around us who do not have enough, those who are in need of support. And as we open our hearts, we share of our little abundance with them. And that's a practice called tzedakah. Sometimes it means charity, but I love to understand it as justice. It's an act of justice when we share of our abundance to support those in need. And then the third step is we'll be lighting our candles. We kindle fire, we kindle light to step into the light that is Shabbat. And the light, as I will invite you during the blessing, is the light that wakes up within us. The candles are a reflection on the outside of what we're yearning to kindle on the inside. So we're going to start with those 3 steps. I'm going to introduce you to the song that we're going to sing together that was inserted in your prayer book as you walked in and grabbed the prayer book. And I had a copy myself right here. There are 5 stanzas in this song. Our musicians and their delightful voices are going to sing for us the first 3, introducing each one of the stanzas. And then by the time of the 3rd time, you would have downloaded the rhythm and the melody and the song, and you'll join us on the 4th and the 5th one. And we'll be one voice. Here we go.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices tuned, the sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices tuned. This is the sound of voices tuned. This is the sound of voices 3, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three.
Our turn.
This is the sound of all of us, singing with love and a will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
I think that went really well. You know, it's the first time we're singing this song as a community, and now that you've heard it once, let's do it again. I mean, that was practice. You did okay. Let's see how much farther we can take it. All right.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. The sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three.
Ready?
This is the sound of all of us, singing together with will to trust. Leave the rest behind, it'll turn to dust. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of all of us. This is the sound of one voice, one people, one voice, a song for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of
Beautiful. Thank you. I think that qualifies to set up sacred space. I'm going to invite you now. I'm going to invite two groups of people. Everybody, except those who are lighting candles. I'm going to invite you to, in a second, find the tzedakah box that is in the back of the sanctuary there, and share from your heart whatever you can donate to the organization that I'm going to tell you about. If you're at home, you can find the Give button either on our website or on the app. I'm sure you can find where that is. I don't have it in front of me. This month we are sharing half of your tzedakah with an organization called Open Arms Perinatal Services. It's an organization that is based here in Washington State and which provides free community-based support during pregnancy, birth, and early parenthood through culturally responsive doula care, childbirth education, and new parent support. And the vision of that organization is to create a world that cherishes birthing people, their babies, their families, and their communities. This is what we're supporting through the end of this month. So if you're not lighting candles, please find your way to the back of the space and share from your heart. If you are lighting candles, please come forward and begin the process of lighting our Shabbat candles. We are on page 14 in your prayer book for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Celia, we saved you a candle.
Thank you.
For those of you who are here for the first time, every Shabbat we invite members of our community to come forward and kindle the light of their Shabbat to share with us what it is they are celebrating, honoring, or just being present to in their life. And we're going to start actually from our right with Celia. Okay. You want to share with us?
I am lighting this candle for kind of 3 different things. The first thing is to thank my amazing and wonderful friend Rachel, who I am eternally grateful for being here for the High Holy Days, because, as I mentioned earlier, I will not be here, and I'm having a hard time with it. But I feel so much more at peace knowing that my beloved community is in the hands of my beloved friend. So thank you, Rachel. I am lighting to thank all of you for understanding that I'm taking the High Holy Days off.
Well, you don't know that yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I know. Well, my third candle is tied with the second candle. Is I am lighting in safe travel and journey for my mother, myself, my husband, and my mother-in-law. The reason why we will not be here is we will be on the Italian Riviera. So, but I will be here in spirit, and I will miss you all terribly. I will be here for Slichot, so
That's right.
I'll have a toe in knocking over Diana's guitar. I will be here for a little bit, and I look forward to being here for that.
Thank you. Behind Celia is Stu Haller, and Stu is lighting Shabbat candles tonight in memory of his cousin Sheila, on his aunt Marcella Oshroff, and his mother Beatrice Oshroff Haller on their yard sites. Next to Stu is Greg Siegler, who is lighting a candle in memory of his friend Dr. Judith Benedek on her 6th yard site. And next to Greg, we have Kate Elias and I'm assuming Janet Nelson together. Okay. Kate is lighting her Shabbat candles tonight in gratitude that she is finally able to return to services after a long medical ordeal. And she particularly wants to thank Janet right here, who looked after her in the hospital and for several days post-surgery. She's also thankful to the many members of Bet Aleph who supported her with messages and meals, and also for the rabbi's noon meditation group who uplifted her spirits during a very dark time. Above all, she wants to give a shout out to her unbelievable neighbors, Bertil and Meryl, who were there for her every day for 3 months. They are truly the face of God to her, and their light shines bright in her heart. Behind Kate is Rochelle Gaither, and Rochelle is lighting on behalf of Shoshana McDonald, as Shoshana is marking and lighting in memory of her brother Sam Kaufman on his 6th yard site as well. Next to Rochelle, we have Jason and Kai Wodika. Close enough, okay. And they are lighting candles tonight to celebrate becoming official members of Bet Aleph. They're also lighting in memory of Kai's father, Edwin Luxembourg, on his 18th yard site. And then next to Kai is somebody who is not on my little list, so...
I sent it in, but hi, I'm Saul Petersky, and I'm lighting a candle tonight in celebration of becoming an official member of Bet Aleph.
Mazel tov.
Actually paying now, but my mother was actually my fiscal sponsor, so that's really a thank you to her for paying for me. And I'm also celebrating 1 year of continuous sobriety as of August 21st, and also acceptance into a social work practicum program at the Benefits Law Center, where I'll be assisting people experiencing homelessness with their Social Security applications while I'm in graduate school. That's it.
Wow. No, I get it back. Right here. Yeah, right. Thank you. Next to you is Evie Anderson and Aaron Eldergod. And they're lighting candles tonight to also celebrate becoming official members of Bet Aleph. And I'm hearing there is a wedding in the future. I know the rabbi.
I know the singer.
Mazel tov, welcome as well. And then, last but not least, is Linda Moldauer. Linda is lighting her Shabbat candles tonight in memory of her husband, Ralph Moldauer, on his 4th yard site already. Ralph loved to ski, play pickleball, eat chocolate, tell jokes and stories, and most of all, he loved Linda. And there are a few of you lighting at home as well. John and Celeste Danker are lighting their Shabbat candles at home tonight for John's father, Henry John Danker, on his 30th yard site. Bernice Tansman Diaz is lighting her candles at home in memory of her dearly missed mother-in-law, Ada Stromberg Topiol, on her 23rd yard site. And Posey Gehring is lighting her candles tonight for Nancy K. Webb, who made her transition August 21st. She was Posey and Howard's sister-in-law. And I turn to you. And if you were lighting Shabbat candles right now, close your eyes and feel within what it is that you may want to kindle in your life on this day, on this night. What is it that is yearning to be blessed in your life? Perhaps something you're marking, honoring, celebrating. Perhaps something you're just yearning to discover. Maybe you don't know yet what it is. It's like a little candle burning inside. So we turn to page 1 in our prayer book, where we find the blessing for the Shabbat light, so that we bless the light awakening inside of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Amen. Thank you, everyone. And as people find their seats again, I'd like to invite everyone to turn to page 5. In a moment, I'll ask you to rise as we'll share in the Baruch Hu together. In a moment, you don't have to, I'm just going to say just a couple words about it so that everybody knows why we're doing what we're doing. It's interesting, there are also steps in the whole worship service, in the Jewish worship service. Everything is built toward an awakening. Everything is built so that we may wake up to the truth of our own being, to the true nature of who we are. And you'll see, and I'll try to share how it is all unfolding somewhat in a logical fashion. These prayers we are about to encounter were put together some 2,000 years ago by the rabbis of the first century and a little bit beyond that, who sought to save Judaism from utter destruction at the end of the Roman Empire. The entire country of Judea was torn asunder. The great temple in Jerusalem was burned to ashes, and Jews were sold into slavery throughout the Roman Empire and dispersed everywhere so that they could be the labor force to build communities wherever the Romans decided to invade next. And so the rabbis were faced with a huge dilemma: is how we're going to survive this great, what has been called now the dispersion, the diaspora of our people, where we're now scattered all around the Roman Empire and disconnected from each other. How we're going to maintain some kind of consistency and survive as a nation, as a people. And they made the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the anchor of our tradition. It was not until the fall of the temple. It was just on the periphery of our tradition, but then it took center stage. And then they built rituals and ways of being Jewish in a foreign lands, wherever we ended up being. And one of the things they did is they codified prayers. There used to be sacrificial rituals at the temple 3 times a day, and they changed that to prayer moments 3 times a day, just in remembering the old ways that for 1,000 years Jews worshipped with the temple. And so these are the prayers we're finding right now. The first one we're going to meet is the Baruch Hu, the call to blessing. It's an invitation to wake up from within us to the blessing that we are, to the blessing that we share. In fact, the words somewhat but translated as bless the eternal, the one who is blessing. In Hebrew, there is a little more subtle version of that. It's not bless the eternal, although that's an accurate translation, but it's bless with the eternal. There's a way to understand the Hebrew that says bless with the eternal. Why? Because as far as Jewish mysticism is concerned, we're not spectators. And we're also not knocking at the door of the great concierge God to ask for, what we need. The Mercedes-Benz or whatever, a better job, a better relationship. God is not seen in mystical Judaism as the great concierge that we have to, get on his, because it's usually understood to be, the bearded guy in the sky, on his good side in order to have a good life. That's not what this is about. What these words are inviting us is to actually be and take part of the divine blessing that are, in fact, as far as mysticism is concerned, flowing through us. We are the mouth, the hands, the feet, the beings through which blessing can manifest in the world. It's not going to happen from without. It has to happen from within. And so in Kabbalah, each of us is put in charge of transforming this world into the highest spiritual levels that we can channel together. And that's what these words are meant to evoke. To step into this place of blessing, but to take responsibility as well for our own spiritual journey, our own spiritual path. Please rise. We say together in the Hebrew and then the English, and then we'll chant it. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Bless the Eternal, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Blessed is the Eternal, the one who is blessing eternally. Just please be seated for a moment. I'll ask you to rise again. On page 6, at the top of page 6, we are meeting the Shema. 6 words that are actually inscribed in the Torah itself, in the book of Deuteronomy. And the words that follow, but down below, the words of the Ve'ahavta also are part of the Torah. To me, that's very important. I'll tell you why. Because these 6 words are the original meditation mantra of the Jewish people. Back thousands of years ago, when the Torah was put together, these words were included. And they say, listen, Israel. Israel is obviously the people of Israel, but it can also be understood as spiritual seeker. Israel means spiritual wrestler. So anyone who is involved or engaged in a spiritual journey is Israel, as far as I am concerned. And it says, awaken, wake up, listen deeply within. Become aware. Become a deep listener to what is arising within and without. Listen deeply. It's a beautiful injunction into meditation, invitation into a meditation state. And what the mantra is saying is the eternal, life, capital L, ground, source, is that which manifests as everything. In other tradition, they would say emptiness is form. In Hebrew, we say the eternal manifest as all that is. And the eternal is one. There is no two-ness. There is no, this universe is non-binary. Truly, in its the most core reality. We create separation, but the universe knows no separation. All separation is illusion. This is one. And then it says, further down the page, it says, let these words connecting you to Source now be always in your consciousness. Embody them for your children. Repeat them when you sit in your house, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Say these 6 words all the time. That is what a mantra is. You need to keep those words repeating in your head all the time so that you may awaken to their truth. And they will reveal that to you as you use them as a mantra. And actually, since you're sitting, we're going to do it sitting this time. Close your eyes. And just listen. Listen. Listen deeply. Quiet everything within and just take the stance of a deep listener. A deep observer. All that is arising isn't you. Thoughts, emotions, desires, sensations, sounds around, this voice that you hear, all of that is arising within you but isn't you. Listen, just listen. You are pure listening. And it's a listening that doesn't have ears. It's a listening that is so deep. Listen, spiritual seeker. All that is around you, including yourself, is expression of the most sacred divine presence. You are the divine becoming embodied. In Kabbalah, we would say that this body of ours is the garb in which God is dressed up. The clothing of the one presence. Listen, spiritual seeker. Emptiness is form. Nothingness becomes everythingness. You are an expression of the most sacred divine presence. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is all. All is one. There is no two-ness. We intra are. Now in Hebrew, we can say it together if you know the words. If not, you can just listen. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The eternal manifests as all that is. The eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the name. The splendor of its presence shines eternally.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema 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 Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
First, we open ourselves to blessing. We become channels for the greatest of all blessings that can flow through us. Blessings of compassion, of embrace. And then the second step is we recognize the oneness of all. That we see the sacred in everything, in everyone. That all of those around us in our lives, right here in the space, are the purest embodiment of the most sacred, each and every one of us. Holy, blessed. And when we open to this kind of consciousness, then there's no them anymore. There are no enemies. There is no one to hurt, because everyone is an expression of the same one, just with a different face, maybe a different skin color, a different religion, a different accent, like me. A little weird accent, I know. A different way to love. But each and every one of us, no matter how we show up, is the divine manifest. And yes, even those you don't like too much. And so when we open to blessing and then to the oneness of it all, to the sacredness of it all, the natural thing that happens next is ve'ahavta, love. Because love is the only response to such awakening. Join me. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Why is it so important for me that these words come from the Torah, from a text that was put together 2,500 years ago? It's because when I talk about Jewish meditation, most people, especially in the Jewish community, look at me funny. They can't understand that there could be such a practice as Jewish meditation. Surely meditation is everything but Jewish. Probably comes from those Eastern traditions. So, Rabbi, when you talk about Jewish meditation, what you're doing is Jewish Buddhism. So it's important to me to point to actually very ancient texts that show us that this practice of meditation goes in our tradition thousands of years back. When the Shema was included in the Torah 2,500 years ago is the exact same time that, according to Buddhist tradition, the Buddha walked the earth. And I also find that fascinating, that such an uplift in spirit happened literally in the same era together, whether in the Near East or the Far East. All of those great spiritual discoveries and unfoldings were happening exactly in the same decades. And to me, there is an energy that was present in the world at that time that touched cross-continent nations and people. But meditation is quintessentially Jewish, and I am proud of it. Very much so. We turn to page 8 for the Amidah. You see, as I'm doing this and introducing you to all of those parts of our worship service, that again you can feel that I don't perceive those as prayers. I hope it's becoming clear to you. For me, they are injunctions to deep spiritual practices. They are reminders. They are pointers to a deeper truth. So to me, they're not prayers, because it feels to me that prayers is praying to something outside of myself. You pray to God and suddenly God is far away. When I pray to God, God is right here, inside of me, in my heart, in my entire being. So I don't pray to anything. I remind myself of the truth of who I am through these words. And that happens with the Amidah. We're not going to do the whole Amidah. It's our tradition to do just the words on page 8. And I'm not going to go through all of them. But I love just the beginning where we have this repetition of God of Abraham. You can look at the second line in the translation. It's like in the middle of the page. It says, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, God of Leah, and God of Rachel. And the rabbi said, why did the text have to repeat God of so-and-so all this time? Why wasn't the prayer God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel? Why do we have to say God every time? And because this is again pointing to a deeper teaching, is that the divine, the way each of us encounters the divine, is unique to us. I don't know what your relationship with the most sacred is. Only you have that relationship. Only you has this deep connection through your unique being. And so yes, there is a God for Abraham that is different than the God for Jacob, that is different than the God for Leah. And to me, it goes even farther, because here we are blessed in America to have multiple denominations in Judaism. You have ultra-Orthodox, modern Orthodox, conservative, Reform, liberal, and on, all the way to Bet Aleph, which is its own thing. And so there's the God of each of those denominations. We don't compete with each other. In fact, we offer a broad spectrum of ways to connect to the most sacred according to each of our own unique ways. proclivities, ways that we find a way into our heart. So I embrace ultra-Orthodox, renewal, conservative. To me, it's everybody has a piece of the puzzle, and we fit within each other. We don't compete with each other. No one is better than the other. Nowhere is more true than another. It's just different avenues for all of us to be blessed to find a space that works for me. And if this doesn't work for me, well, I can go find somewhere else that will work for me. How gorgeous and beautiful is that? And I want to see all religions in this kind of way. See, I'm going even one step farther. Right? Judaism has a corner of the truth, doesn't have the whole truth. Islam has a beautiful corner on the truth, doesn't have the whole truth. Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, you name them, each of us are actually a certain expression of how we all want is to go back to the source that is one for everyone. So all of us offer little pieces of the great puzzle of spiritual manifestation. And to me, that's what these prayers, that are not prayers, are meant to remind us of. Please rise. We say the first verse together at the top of the page, one that I often have and repeat before every meeting, that the words that I might say at that meeting, in that interaction with that person, might flow from the most sacred part of myself, the most loving part of myself, that I may be channeled for compassion and love. I don't succeed all the time, but I walk in with that intention. Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal One, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid v'yagid tehillah
Join me in the Hebrew, the transliteration, or the English, whatever works for you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי לאה ואלוהי רחל, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. You may be seated. So usually at this moment in our Friday night Shabbat service, I give a dvar. It's a Hebrew for talk. And usually I mention whatever is going on in the Torah and go completely off base and do all kinds of crazy things. But since this is a kind of a welcome to our community, Shabbat, I wanted to do something that has everything to do with Kabbalah, because this is the identity of Bet Aleph. So I chose a very light topic. We're going to talk about soul. I'm going to do this on one foot and very, very quickly. Obviously, I've taught entire courses on just that topic, so you're going to get the footnotes. But it's an important topic. It's so core to Kabbalah because I think it will explain what I've been trying to say since the beginning of our time together. So I'm going to start with flipping something on its head for you, because most of us have grown up with the understanding that I have a soul, right? Sounds pretty normal. Any kind of theology that we maybe have come across has reinforced that notion that each of us has a soul. And actually that is completely and utterly wrong. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. And that's what Kabbalah does. Kabbalah invites us to flip the narrative. Because when we say, I have a soul, we introduce a duality that doesn't exist. There's an I over here that owns something over there called a soul. There's a big ego here that thinks it owns a thing called a soul. I, me, myself, and I have a soul. What the Kabbalah is teaching is that this I is actually the last manifestation of what we would call soulness. So imagine in the beginning, there was the possibility of you being born, which actually also is not a real sentence, but we're going to go with it because right now it's okay. In the beginning, there was a vast void within which the possibility of you coming into being already was seeded. And from that seed came a first concentric circle, very small. And that is the first manifestation of soul, what we call in English soul. Hebrew doesn't have a word for soul, by the way. It's like the Eskimos with how many names they have for snowflakes. Hebrew doesn't have the word soul. It doesn't understand that. There are 5 words that may be connected to the word soul in English. Because in Jewish mysticism, there is no such a thing as one soul. There are 5 layers. And the first layer is called Yechida, that innermost concentric circle. Yechida means oneness. It is that which emerges out of, well, I'm going to qualify that in just a second. But for now, it is that which emerges out of the totality of being. That immense, unfathomable, eternal void. Birth is Yechida. Birth is that innermost soul, Yechida, oneness. It's that part within us that is completely merged and connected. It's not other than the absolute totality of being, but it's taking a first shape within that. It's like a little dot on the movie screen, right? That's not a bad analogy, because the dot seems to be different than the screen if it's just one dot, but it's not separate from the screen. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, good. And then that dot expands to the second layer. And the second layer is called Chaya. Chaya actually has life. It's Chay, L'chaim, Chaya, L'chaim, to life. Chaya is the level of soul that becomes the embryo to our soul. It's the first alive, living soul. But it's still on the screen, right? So from the little circle, now there's another circle around it, but it's still on the screen. It's not different than the screen. The third layer of soul is called neshama. And that comes from the word linshom, which means also to breathe, which is interesting. It's like a breathing soul. It's the level of soul that kind of is the border between the absolute nothingness and the complete somethingness. It's the bridge. In terms of spiritual evolution, is first stage enlightenment, first stage awakening. Is when we start to really understand the true nature of our being and of the universe, right? So on the ascending part, it's the soul of awakening. So you can also understand it's not soul, but it's like maybe levels of consciousness, states of consciousness. And then there is the next concentric circle around, and that's ruach. Ruach means wind, spirit. And ruach is connected to the manifestation of our emotional body, emotional self. It's interesting because in Kabbalah, we understand that the first thing that is manifested from the divine is actually all of creation is emerging from love. And the Kabbalah realizes that the most important aspect of who we are, what gets created first, is our emotional body. Right? We think of ourselves as great intellects. But if we really look how we make most of our decisions, it's all emotional. Right? We are emotional beings. We live from the heart, though we hide it to make believe that our mind is really making the decisions. But it's not the case. Just take a look at how you make decisions. And you know, because we have a whole capitalistic endeavor that is based on us making impulse buying. And impulse buying is not reason, it's emotion. So that's the next layer, that's the fourth layer. But again, imagine all those concentric circles, they're still on the screen. Your emotional body, which is not embodied in a physical shape yet, is no different than the screen itself. You haven't left the screen. We never left. The last layer of soul is called nefesh. And nefesh is the soul of all the manifest universe. And also, obviously, our physical body. And in Kabbalah, we understand physical body is body-mind as one thing. Right? It's not, in some spiritual circles, we have body, heart, mind, spirit, as if we're divided into four things. In Kabbalah, it's body-mind. It's one word. It's one word. Body, mind, heart, whatever. It's just one thing. But that is your physical shape. Not just your physical shape, every physical shape. I said earlier that you are the clothes that God is dressed in. This body is the garment of God, right? That's what it means. And that outermost circle, the circle of all that exists, all that manifests, this entire universe, maybe multiverse, who knows? All that is still the screen. It hasn't stepped out of the screen. It is why in Kabbalah we say that each of us is literally an expression of oneness. We can never be separate from God. There is nowhere we can go where we would be lost, because God is what we are. It's just this unique shape, with this unique voice, with this unique story and history. But we are all the beautiful faces of the one face, because we never leave the screen. Questions? There will be a test during Oneg. Does that make some kind of a sense? See, that's why I was telling you, you don't have a soul, you are. That is what you are. Beautiful, gorgeous, embodied soul. So the Kabbalah sees that consciousness, divine presence, source, ground, whatever the word that works for you, I don't care. I don't like the word God anyways, but we can use that. Oneness, presence. Permeates everything. There is not an atomic particle, what is it now in quantum physics, right? The smallest building block of wherever physics is at these days. That is the divine. The divine permeates everything. Rocks, clouds, stars, galaxies. You look out, all you see is the face of God. In Torah, it says only Moses knew God face to face. Again, it's a teaching for all of us. When we look at each other's face, we encounter the most sacred. I'm looking at you. It's okay. Everybody gives Einstein so many props. Like every quote ever written in the world belongs to Albert Einstein. And this one too. But it's one that I have loved. My rabbi, Rabbi Ted Falcon, shared that long ago, and it always stayed with me. I'm going to share with you, and those of you who have been with me for a while know, but it's always good to be reminded. It's good for me. It goes like this. The one that is looking at you through my eyes, right? Again, the one that is looking at you right now through my eyes is the same one that is looking at me through your eyes. The one that is looking at you through my eyes is the same one that is looking at me through your eyes. There is no other one. If not, it wouldn't be one. We're going to leave it at that, because I could go all night, and you would not like that. We continue. We continue with a tease from the high holidays, just to give you a little bit yearning, and so that you can go online after Shabbat and immediately register. It's called Hashivenu, return us, help us return to our soul, to ourselves. Help us move away from the attractiveness of everything is out there and go, oh, no, everything is in here that truly matters. Hashivenu.
Shuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kekedem.
Now we're going to do a few moments of meditation. And you can just close your eyes and let the melody we just heard just permeate your entire being. As you close your eyes, let yourself rest as awareness. Become that which is observing. And let the body relax completely. Let the tension in the belly be released. Let the muscles of your face melt away. Just be completely surrendered into this moment. There's nothing you have to do. There's nowhere you have to go. Just feel into the aliveness of your being right now. What is here? Maybe there's the sensations of the breath coming in and going out. Maybe there's the beating of the heart. Maybe there is a lingering little nervousness, like an electrical current. There is the pressure of the seat underneath us and at our backs. What else is here? Maybe a thought, a desire, an emotion. We can just observe, it's all here. But we remain the observer. There is the content, and there is the observer. So rest as the observer. Completely relaxed. Completely surrendered to this moment. Come and sit in the silence of the innermost heart of your being. Deep beneath the waves of the loudness of the thoughts and their distractions. Beneath those waves crashing on the surface, as you sink more deeply, you find more quietude, more peace. Suddenly you feel at home in your life. Everything is paradoxically okay. I am okay. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am the embodiment of all loving and caring and compassion. It's not what I do, it's who I am. I am surrounded by a field of love. That is my birthright. That is my inheritance. I am simply aware. I demand nothing. I lack nothing. I need nothing. I am perfect and whole and complete, just as I am. And I feel so much joy and love arising from within this heart of mine. It's like this entire being is abuzz with love and caring and kindness. I don't even need to work on it. I just need to open, and it's right here. I don't have to work to become more loving. Loving is already what I am. I can relax. I don't have to fight life anymore. I am life. I can just flow with life instead of against it, trying to direct it this way or that way. I can just flow with it and let it guide me to where it wants to take me. I can just remain curious to discover what that might be. Eager to find out. I don't have to have the answers or the solutions. Life will bring me wherever it needs to bring me. This breath coming in, this breath going out. So simple, so gorgeous. Sinking more deeply into the quietude of the heart of life. We are given over to the source of all being. That is our source and our destination. And may we go and surrender into the flow to find peace, to find harmony, to find wholeness, 3 words that are English translations of the word shalom. 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 And may those energies of love, compassion, of peace and wholeness flow from the hearts of each of our beings and permeate this space wherever you are, your home, this sanctuary, and go even beyond those walls to find those in your life, in your world, you know to be in need of healing tonight. To hold those, you know, the name of whom you recall, the faces of whom you see in your mind's eye, and to bring them into the circle of healing right now, together with David Mark, Daniel Clark, Maxwell Bernard, Lynn Carroll, Eileen Wellens, Lawrence Stern, Elizabeth Heath, Helen Mossbroker, Maggie Pisner, Ronnie Shapiro, Margaret Bergman-Ness, Blythe Horman, Kalish Liviel, Amy Lowe, Noah Clark, Greer Davis, Glenn Kendall, Jay Rose, Janet Crowley, Carlos Taylor, Stewie Ehrlich, Hadia Carlisle, Arlene Shatsky, Darlene Reagan, Moni Kugler, Terry Haybarth, Amira Bayer, Robert Lester, Debbie Anderson, Pam Heller, Dolores Heller, Jerry and Rona Sanderson, Diane Adams, Sandy Newman, Shannon Campbell, Marian Tierney, Alex Bortnick, Deb Cohen, Philip Herzog, Kate Elias, Deborah Liebes, Doris Paley, Rob Spiegel, Wilford John Herman, Beth Tristeo, Sandy Fairchild Miller, Beth Sear, Wendy Pender, Judy Cohen, Bob Krolish, Amy Austin, Edward Tensman, Peter Metzger, Jenon Thuggerson, Todd Boyle, Claire Petersky, Rachel Naomi Remen, Anne-Mary Regalado. And we name in our hearts the names of those we include in the circle of healing, in the waters of healing.
May the waters of healing flow through our souls. light of healing, give life to our soul. May the pure light of healing give life to our mind. May the pure light of healing give life to our heart. May the pure light of healing give life to our form. Anna, please, Holy One. Rapha, let your healing be done. Anna, heal our soul. Rapha, may we be whole.
We have reached the concluding moments of our service together. We are on page 12. It's amazing how quickly 4.5 hours just went by. I didn't feel anything. On page 12, we rise for the Aleinu. We say together, we are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the one who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore, we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being, and on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. Aleinu leshabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו On page 13, we find the Mornis Kaddish. It is a time where we also hold in our hearts and in our mind the memories of those we have lost, the memories of those who have made their transition from this level of being and are returning and have returned to source. On this Shabbat, we hold in light of memory those who have made their transition in recent days and weeks, those for whom we still hold Shiva or Shloshim. Dr. Zimena Wolf, friend of Gerardo, Ojeda Ebert and Hannah Nerbovig, as well as Dr. Joseph Quaterco, also friend of Gerardo and Hannah. Fred Simons, Susan Austin friend, Gail Gurian, Shelley Oakley, Oakley's friend, and Nancy K. Webb, Posey Gehring and Hort Stein's friend. On this Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those who have made their transition this past year. Jonathan Stahl, Herb MacDonald, Richard Richman, Bobby Williamson, Salim Matt Grass, Denny Oswald, Susanna Stern, Jerry Spivak, Mary Oakley Anderson, Carol Klepper, Craig Wilson, Chuck Balch, Rosella Stern, Emmy Brosh, Susan Jo Runnian, Mary Pat Graham, Lee Keno, Kathy Friedel, Rabbi Mark Golub, Mats DeShazo, Jane Colombini, Stanley Hannon and Irv Douglas, Jeremy Gordon, Nancy Green, Jerry Pettitz, James Beal Gorham, David Lee Broad, Amitai Etzioni, Laurelane McKent, Victoria Ashker, Donna Glosser. Donna Glosser is actually passed away just at the end of July. On the Shabbat, we also hold in light of memory those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their transition, happens at this time of the year. John Rose, Henry John Danker, Jill Abels, Ralph Moldauer, Joseph Allwell, Kathleen Allwell, Marcella Oshroff, Morris Jacob Heller, Sheila Koss Nathan, Dr. Judith Benedict, Barbara Bell, Robert Litz, Ada Stromberg Topiol, Samuel Kaufman, Edward Luxemburg, and Ira Moss. And we name in our hearts the names of those we remember on this night as we share the words on page 13 together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divera chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yom echon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Israel, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל בחטא ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דא אמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. ואמרו, Amen. May the one who creates harmony above make peace for us, for all the household of Israel, and for all the peoples of the world. And let us say, Amen. And before we conclude with our final song, which will be on page 25, Light, Love, and One. Just want to share a few announcements. Tomorrow, 10:30, we continue our study of the Guide of the Perplexed. We've been at it for 2.5 years, and we are on page 25 or so. Thank you. It's an amazing book of philosophy and spirituality written 1,000 years ago. It's open to everyone. You can just jump and come in. We'll have a book for you. If you want to come in person, it's just across the street in our office space. If not, it's also online. On Zoom, you can connect. Cindy just brought this to me. Together Against Hunger. Every year, we collect donations from you and replenish ahead of winter the shelter of Jewish Family Service, who will serve people through winter who are needing food and other home supplies. For a community as small as we are, and we're not that small, but we are the community, like as a percentage of our membership, has historically brought the most donations to the Jewish Family Service, and we want to keep it up. Not that it's a competition, but a little bit. So find one of those bags, fill it up, and bring it back next week. That was going to be my next announcement. Next week, Saturday night, is Slichot, 8 days from today. So high holidays are starting. Slichot is open to and free to everyone. And it's a glorious way to step into the energies of the high holidays. And if you feel yourself moved to do more, then you can register and keep going with us. But please come next Saturday. It starts at 8 p.m., so it's a different start time, and we go 2 hours like tonight. And it's one of the most, if not the most beautiful service that we get to do every year. There's so much happening there. And I'm going to also, in my talk, tell you about the theme for the high holidays. So you can't miss it. Can't miss it. If not, you'll be lost on Rosh Hashanah. What am I doing here? So please register for the high holidays, which reminds me, not only is Slichot 8 days from right now, Rosh Hashanah is exactly 2 weeks from right now. 2 weeks is Rosh Hashanah Eve. Usually we have first and third Friday, our Shabbat services. Our third Friday will be Rosh Hashanah Eve, which means this requires tickets to get in. I don't want anybody to come and think it's Shabbat, knock at the door, and we can't let you in because you don't have tickets, unless you want to buy a ticket for the night. But that's why I'm mentioning it. We won't have a Shabbat service 2 weeks from now. We'll have Rosh Hashanah Eve service. And it's going to be amazing, the Jewish New Year. That's it. Please join us downstairs. I know it's getting 9 o'clock, but 9 o'clock, we're young. What's 9 o'clock between young people like us? Join us downstairs. We have challah, we have little nashes, we have a little wine and juice. We'll say a few blessings, and I'd love to meet as many of you. There's a lot of you here tonight, but I'd love to have the opportunity to say hello. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. There is light, there is love, there is one. That's what we did tonight.
Darkness dwells and fear is taught. Where there
Shabbat Shalom. If we can get a few people to help us transform this space back into the sanctuary of Center for Spiritual Living, we'd love every help we can get. Thank you.